Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I've been wanting to do this video for so long, so I'm finally getting it out, but I'm going to be showing you my weekly spreads, specifically how I decorate my weekly spreads, at least from January to April so far. And then at the end, I'll show you what I use to design and create my spreads. And yeah, this is just my black Moterm Versa. I have 19mm rings in here. But yeah, let's get into it. So over here, I just have some content cards, only 2 of them. I think the 3rd one got stuck in my laminator. And then I just have this that I laminated, and it was a free dashboard. I just cut it down from a Yumi plan. And then I just have this dashboard that I made with, of course, some quotes on the back. And then inspired by my content cards, I have some dividers at the top. And I was using this binder at the start of the year in 2021. I will link that setup up above in the cards. But since I've moved into my white pocket Versa with 30mm rings, I thought it'd be perfect to store my inserts in here. And I just have this set of dividers for the first quarter of the year, January through April. So these sort of match the content cards, as you can see, and I'll get right into the weekly spreads. So this was January, and yeah, I'm using Salty 22 inserts. This was my first week of the year. Not really a lot going on. I was still kind of getting used to this layout. Then the next week I changed my layout. I think I printed this one on the back just to try it out. You get both files when you purchase this from Salty 22. Yeah, this was the week of January 4th to the week of January 10th. And then I used this little extra space for a running list, some things for YouTube, Instagram, and then some stats at the bottom of growth. And then January 11th through January 17th. And then I just used stencils over here for my Russian habit tracker. And then again in box and that section for stats. This was January 18th to January 24th. This was the 25th through the 31st. And I like to call out attention with normally a brush marker and some stencils. And this is how I decorated. And then this was the first week of February, but since it was printed on the back of the January weekly, I just went ahead and left this in the January section. But yeah, just like to make to-do lists as well, sometimes with either dots or stencils. And then again, I used a stencil to make this habit tracker, even though the boxes aren't spaced out as much as I would like. And then we get into the February divider, which is just this nice graffiti print. This was the 2nd week of February, Valentine's Day. And then I had this, which is the week of February to the week of February 21st. And then this was the 22nd through the 28th. And then again, I use the sidebar. I like to have like 3 tasks per day or priorities, so I like putting them up there, using quotes and stencils to call out certain details, and then using this as a schedule. And then since I didn't have enough space to make my habit tracker, I just put 2 dots on the bottom to notify me of certain habits that I wanted to get through. This was March, and I began using these inserts from Paper Tess Designs, which I really loved. I loved this little hourly time tracker. I loved the week. I love that you could circle the dates, because I find that there's not always enough room for me to write the dates sometimes in my spreads as we get further. I'll show you. And then this little daily tracker I liked. I used this for gratitude, and this was a memory for the day. And then I liked, again, just having the ability to put 3 priorities on each day and then call out 1 appointment or a goal. And a grocery list, and then I had things for social media. And yeah, I left those inserts when I found these. They reminded me of the cloth and paper insert, and these are just from Rosie's Papery. And there's a nice little monthly box where you could put your month at a glance, and then I just used the Zig dot markers, which I have a video on, to list out what days of that week were there, And then I just have this, which I didn't need for scheduling. So I just use it in place to list out affirmations for every day, a to-do list, my 3 sort of priorities or goals, schedule, and then a little memory for each day. And then same thing for the rest of this week. And, you know, I used gray because I was in this planner. It just kind of matched. So, yeah. Pretty much every week looks the same. And then I use those dots whenever I finished a task on my to-do list. And that was the last week of March. And then we get to April. This is the first week of April, or the first full week rather, that I have. And I just was in my taupe Moterm, which I'll link that video. So I put the little taupe or fawn colored dot marker, or used it rather for this week. And then I just have some blank pages in here, and that is it. So that was my flip through of my weekly pages. And now for part 2, I'm going to show you my favorite supplies. So I'll see you back here in a bit. Hi guys, welcome back. So this is part 2. I'm going to be showing you my favorite supplies. So first off are stencils, of course. These are actually from a 20-piece set, but there are only about 6 that I like to use regularly, and so I'll walk you through them. But they're only about $9 on Amazon for all 20, so definitely a great investment and much cheaper than stickers, and that's why I like them. So this is number 1. Just has some boxes, a couple of icons, or shapes rather, and I just like these for making checklists. I use these squares almost exclusively, as well as these little mini banners. The boxes are good too if I'm on a bigger page or working in a spread that has columns, as a way to break up information. This is number 8, and it just has a little bit of a social media section. So I love using this for work calls, Facebook, Pinterest. There's even a Twitter thing. I wish they had something for Instagram, but I like it nonetheless. And then the little phone icon is something I use a lot too, as well as these shapes over here, and sometimes these little rectangles, which work perfect in pocket size because there's a little bit less room than some of the other sizes. This is sheet number 9, and I love this one, as you could probably tell. It has a lot of icons, things for, you know, going to the bank, saving money, listening to music, text message, Facebook, again, Snapchat's even on here. And then at the bottom, I love these for making to-do lists. I use the circles, the triangles, and the squares probably the most often. And there is even a little section of lines, and then these numbers come in really handy, but I have yet to use them. And then this is number 18, and once again, it's just shapes of all different sizes, and I love using these in my spreads as well. And then number 19 I use pretty much for the triangles and circles. They're just a little bit smaller than the previous ones that I showed you, but definitely a lot of fun designs to use here. And then lastly, this is number 4 from that cream colored stencil set that I talked about. I'll link it down below. It's on Amazon. Once again, there's just banners, shapes, and some boxes, which come in really handy. And lastly, I like to use this one for traveling or when I'm going somewhere. I love using the plane, definitely a lot less now with COVID. But there are some banners and some more shapes on this one that come in handy. And this is from Michaels. It was from their PN line, which I don't know if they still sell. Haven't been to Michaels in a little bit, but if you do see this, I'd recommend you pick it up for your spreads. And so these are my stencils. I use them a lot, as people can probably tell with my spreads. I'll just show you right here. But yeah, I use this often. I make like an overlay sticker where I first stencil the box, and then on top of it I'll stencil the circle, and then I normally color one of them in and do dots on the other one, or sometimes even stripes. The camera comes in handy for filming YouTube videos, of course, and then I like to use circles as well for habit tracking. But now that I have the Zig clean color dot markers, I could even use those over here. Stencils, icons. I'm trying to see if, yeah, I use those check boxes, as you can see, the shape, and yeah, that was the first little piece of stuff that I use, which are these stencils, and probably one of my favorites. And then next up, something that I use quite often is whiteout. This is just a $2 whiteout that I bought from Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store. They have one right next to my house. So yeah, I love going there, and this is just an item I like to pick up, and it comes in very handy. I've never had issues with it, you know, running or anything like that, but I try to use it sparingly. But it's perfect for covering up mistakes, especially if you use white inserts. I just have this ruler that I love to use in my spreads for sometimes outlining like boxes or making my own like little quote boxes. I like to use this. This is just a stencil I got at a Japanese stationery shop in my town, and I've had it for almost, I think, maybe 4 to 5 years, but it's just a nice 6-inch ruler, which is handy for carrying in my planner or in my pencil case. Next up, we have my new favorite marker, the Zig Clean Color Dot Marker, which if you haven't seen my review on this, I will link it up above, but this is just a two-sided or dual-sided marker with one side that has a dot nib, and depending on the pressure you can get different size dots. And then this one is just a fine tip marker, and it's quite small, so you can get really nice size mini dots or even lines or doodles. I like to use this line or the fine nib of a lot of different dual-sided markers to add shadows to my stencils to sort of give them a little bit more dimension. And I will just show you in March how I used this Zig Clean Color Dot Marker, as you can see, to fill in the dates on my calendar, my to-do list, and then even to write these little dots. I used the finer, and so this is definitely something to pick up if you use a lot of shapes or are constantly making to-do lists that you want to check off. And then last but not least, out of the things that are outside of my pencil case at the moment, is this Tombow marker. I have a lot of different colors of these, and I like using these in my spread specifically for outlining different words. I like to use the brush nib for lettering. I like to use this side for, once again, coloring in my stencils, making quote boxes, underlining things, or, you know, practicing my lettering. This is an effect I like to do where I write in block or print lettering, and then I, you know, letter over it with a pen, and I just go over it again. It's a Tombow. This one is an N95, and once again, this is just a dual tipped marker. One side is a brush tip, and the other is this bullet or fine nib. I recommend you pick up a couple of these. They're fun to use, especially if you're in pocket size. And then lastly, I'm just going to go through the things that are in my little mini pen case. This I got as well from Daiso, that Japanese dollar store, and it just has stars on it, and it's black, so I thought it'd be very versatile depending on whatever planner I'm in. And then it just has a little gold zipper. First step, I'm just going to sort of pull things out, is this mild liner. If you haven't seen mild liners, once again, it is a dual tipped marker. There is a chisel or highlighter tip, and then this fine nib on this side, which again I like to use for lettering, either in cursive or print, adding details and filling out my stencil. So this is just a dual-sided sort of highlighter, and it's pretty popular in the bullet journaling and studygram communities, and now the planner world, of course. Definitely pick this up if it's something you'd be interested in. They are a little bit easier to find. I know Target sells them in a set as well as on Amazon. And then here is just another color. This one's blue, and once again has this chisel tip, which is perfect if you want to highlight things in your spread. It's not something that I do in my spreads, but I like to use it on my inbox as task come to completion. And then next up, I have these Twi markers, and I believe I bought the 100 or the 48 marker set, but it comes with a lot of different colors. This one is Mykonos blue, and then there's smoke gray, and these ones I used almost exclusively in my weekly spreads last year, and I also filmed a plan with me with them if you'd like to see. It's just a dual tipped marker, again with one brush nib, one fine nib, and these remind me of the Tombow marker, but the Tombow brush nib is a little bit harder to control because it's a little bit broader. So if you're a beginner, I would recommend these. You can't get as heavy-handed with them. They are a little bit more flimsy. You can see I kind of bent that one because I use it a lot. Love using this for lettering. These are just the tweed markers, and then there is this little fine nib, and it's even smaller than the fine nib on either the Mildliner or the Tombow or even the Zig marker. And I will link these down below as well, like I'm doing all the other pens. And then this is probably my favorite pen, or the one that I can't live without. I do all of my lettering and my spreads with this pen. And this is just a Pentel Energel alloy pen body in silver that comes traditionally with a 0.7 refill, but I just put a 0.3 in there because with me using pocket size, I like my letters to be a little bit less broad and more of a sort of controlled stroke, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is my favorite pen, and I like the metal aesthetic. And it looks great in photographs. I'll link it down below again as well. This one is just a mechanical pencil now, and this is a Kuratoga mechanical pencil, and all that means is just it has a lead mechanism that as you write, the lead rotates inside of the barrel or the column, and your lead is always sharp. And this one just has Rilakkuma, which is a Japanese or I believe Korean bear cartoon, and I like it. And then I have another mechanical pencil. I like to use these to cut my spreads. I outline the cut marks and then I cut them with a scissor. I don't like using a paper trimmer, but I know that's pretty popular in the planning community. But this is just a Tombow monograph pencil, and it shakes to disperse the lead, and you can use this as well. And then there's a cool feature of a lead lock, which locks the lead in place as you write. And once again, this just has Rilakkuma on it. And then it features the Tombow eraser that's pretty popular in Japan and all over the world. But this is just the monograph mechanical pencil. And this one I bought on Etsy. It's out of stock now, and it's pretty limited edition. But I will link the, regular, maybe white or black pencil barrel that you can get over on Amazon. And then my last sort of marker before we get more into pencil, this is the Monami Plus pen, and you can buy 36 of these for $15. And I used this in a lot of my spreads, but it does have this sort of smaller brush nib, and depending on the amount of pressure, you can get varying weight sizes, so it's great for hand lettering. It is, like I said, small, so you don't want to bend it, so I try to use this sparingly, but it does have this little nice nib, and I like filling in lines and stencils with this as well. And I can take you to a spread where I used another color. I used purple here, but I was able to create this hand lettering quote thing here, do more hand lettering, fill in my stencils, and add shadows to a couple of them. So I love that one. And then this is the Uni Alpha Gel Kuratoga mechanical pencil. So it has the same, rotating lead mechanism as you write, but it features this nice Uni Alpha Gel silicone grip, which comes in handy when you're writing. I write with like this with pencils, so it's great at keeping my hand comfortable, especially when I'm cutting out a lot of inserts. And I like to write with it as well sometimes in my planner. And then this lastly is just a Muji mechanical pencil, and it has a anti-lead breaking component to it. This is just a black mechanical pencil, and I like pencils for laying out information in my spreads, even tracing stencils, or I like them for cutting or tracing the cut marks in certain items, whether that be stencils or dashboards that I'm trying to cut out. So yeah, that was it for what was in my pencil case, my planning essentials, and a flip through of some of my weekly spreads. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more of my weekly spreads, I encourage you to follow me over on Instagram at @thealexisloren. I'll leave it here on the screen. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and I will be getting a plan with me up for you guys very soon.